In Hollywood, fame is not only measured by the number of roles or prestigious awards, but also by the ability to maintain an appearance that defies time. Although no one says it out loud, the pressure to stay forever young is something many male stars face. And while the spotlight shines on their glamorous looks behind the scenes are quiet appointments with knives, Botox, and procedures that sometimes go a bit too far. Do you think only female celebrities undergo cosmetic surgery? Think again. From classic film legends to modern television icons, many familiar faces have undergone beauty makeovers, some so subtle that you wouldn't even notice, while others have changed so much that they themselves are startled when they look in the mirror. Here are the 20 most unbelievable cosmetic surgeries of Hollywood male stars, those who have tried to hold on to their youth, sometimes with great success, and other times leaving the audience wondering, is this really that person? You would never recognize them today. If you are surprised by these changes, leave a 1 below. If you think there's nothing surprising, comment 0. Don't forget to enjoy the video, hit like and subscribe to support the channel. I look forward to reading your feedback. Just mentioning Clark Gable immediately brings to mind his sharp gaze, calm demeanor, and captivating smile in Gone with the Wind. The image of the strong, charming Rhett Butler has become an immortal symbol of Hollywood and the dream of countless girls of that era. However, few know that behind that perfect smile and confident appearance lies a silent, challenging overhaul that Gable had to undergo to transform himself into a shining star on the big screen. When he first arrived in Hollywood in the late 1920s, MGM executives saw great potential in Gable, but they quickly realized he needed to change a few things to meet the standards of the film industry at that time. These changes were not minor. Gable had to have almost all of his natural teeth removed due to severe gum disease and replaced with a complete set of dentures. This new set of teeth not only gave him a bright and even smile, but also created a confident appearance fitting for a movie star of Hollywood's golden age. Not stopping there in 1932, Clark Gable continued his cosmetic interventions by deciding to undergo ear surgery to pin back his slightly protruding ears. Notably, the entire surgical process took place without general anesthesia, a testament to the belief that a real man of that time should endure pain without complaint. Gable's determination and toughness contributed to the masculine and dashing image he projected to the public, earning him widespread admiration. For the audience, Clark Gable has always been a symbol of natural masculinity, strength, and charm. Few know that he was one of the pioneers of the subtle yet effective cosmetic intervention movement in early Hollywood. So the next time you hear Rhett Butler whisper the immortal line, "Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn," try to imagine the scene where he removes his dentures before stepping into the sunset. Who knows, that smile may not only be cinematic perfection, but also a testament to a journey of struggle, endurance, and quiet transformation of a legend. A story that makes you love him all over again in a completely different way. Dean Martin, also known as the King of Cool, always appeared on screen with a smooth, velvety voice, an alluring smile, and a natural charisma, as if he had just stepped out of a quintessential Vegas bar. But behind that seemingly gifted beauty are the subtle adjustments that not everyone is aware of. Born with the name Dino Crocetti, Dean began his career with a rather prominent nose, something that made him look unbalanced in front of the camera. By 1953, when his career alongside co-star Jerry Lewis was soaring, Dean quietly underwent a nose reduction surgery. The result was a more harmonious face, still retaining his distinctive Italian charm, but much more suitable for the screen. In the following years, as he approached his 50s but still wanted to maintain his leading man status on screen, Martin continued to refine his appearance. He had a facelift for his face and neck, while also smoothing out the wrinkles around his eyes, making his face look more vibrant under stage lights and cameras. His makeup artist once revealed, "Dean always looks like he just had a deep 8-hour sleep and drank spring water all day." Of course, that's just a cleverly staged illusion. Sammy Davis Jr., Dean's close friend and co-star, used to joke about his beauty enhancements. But Martin never publicly admitted to it. For him, as long as he maintained the image of a suave gentleman, what happened behind the scenes could remain undisturbed. There are rumors that Dean Martin is behind a secret club where stars gather to discuss taboo topics and even keep a black book recording sensitive transactions. No one confirms the existence of that book, but no one is brave enough to deny it either. Is it possible that Martin is not only a symbol of extravagance, but also the keeper of Hollywood's deepest secrets? Cary Grant, a name that evokes the image of a perfect gentleman, sophisticated, charming, and always turning heads. He is the kind of man that men aspire to be, and women wish to be led through a waltz under the moonlight. However, the transformation from a boy named Archie Leach to the legend Cary Grant was not merely a name change. As soon as he arrived in Hollywood in the late 1920s, filmmakers noticed that Archie had charisma, but his face needed a few adjustments. The first thing to be addressed, it was his smile. In the early 1930s, Grant underwent a complete makeover with a dentist, from jaw alignment to a full set of new teeth to achieve a bright, even, and captivating smile. In the cinema of that time, a perfect set of teeth was not just a standard, it was the highlight that helped someone become a star. But the journey of self-improvement did not stop there. In 1957, when Cary Grant was nearing 53, yet still often paired on screen with beautiful young women half his age, he decided to undergo an upper eyelid lift. His deep and gentle eyes had become somewhat weary under the film lights, and he needed a little freshness to maintain his ageless image on the silver screen. The renowned director Alfred Hitchcock, who collaborated with Grant many times, once noticed this subtle change. But true to the style of a genuine gentleman from old Hollywood, he never commented publicly. In contrast, Cary's longtime friend actress Katharine Hepburn likened Grant's attention to his appearance to maintaining a valuable vintage car, just a little adjustment and everything runs smoothly again. Kirk Douglas, the immortal image of the hero Spartacus, a strong jaw, a determined gaze, and an unmistakable warrior demeanor. On screen, he embodies unyielding will, a man unbowed by chains or power. But there is one enemy that even Spartacus must silently confront: time. Born in 1916, Douglas not only lived a long life, but also maintained a strong appearance for many decades. The secret. It's not just about healthy eating and hard training, but also subtle support from aesthetic medicine. Although he has never publicly confirmed it, many in the industry believe he underwent a light facelift and eye area enhancement since the 1970s, when he was continuously taking on action roles. Additionally, the legendary dimple on Kirk's chin, a natural feature, has also been a topic of discussion. Some say he emphasized it with minor surgery to create a focal point, while others assert it is entirely natural. No matter what the truth is, that chin has become a symbol, not just of Douglas, but of an entire generation of unforgettable heroes. For him, maintaining a strong image is not about following trends, but about continuing the role of a classic masculinity icon in a film world that is changing every day. Unlike many of his colleagues, Kirk did not wait until his face became gaunt. Around 1975, at nearly 60 years old, he underwent a facelift for the first time. Subtly yet effectively, it slimmed his jawline and neck while maintaining his rugged features. After all, a warrior cannot look like he is melting under a helmet. What truly sets Douglas apart is his honesty. In a 1988 interview, he said, "Everyone is like that. It's just that I'm more honest than most people." That is Kirk, brave on the battlefield and brave in Beverly Hills. Over the years, he has undergone many surgeries, including brow lifts and eyelid surgery, creating a firmer appearance, and by the 90s, he had a look like a whirlwind. His son Michael even jokes about taking care of his father, saying that Kirk always uses any tools available to maintain a strong career. Burt Lancaster, with a square face, bright eyes, and a body that seems chiseled from stone. Whether as an acrobat who performed in the circus or a heroic figure in Hollywood blockbusters, he always exuded a sense of strength, calmness, and charisma. That face, like a classical statue, appears to have no superfluous features. Yet behind that perfect exterior lies a series of subtle aesthetic choices, skillfully concealed by his professionalism and stage presence. In 1947, when he was still a newcomer in the industry, Burt underwent an ear-pinning surgery, a minor yet significant procedure. His slightly protruding ears, seemingly harmless, could easily be betrayed by the camera lens. Therefore, he decided to adjust them to better harmonize with his strong, angular face, just enough to enhance his image without losing his original masculine identity. That was the first step in the quiet journey of reshaping the appearance of an icon. Not stopping there in the early 1950s, Lancaster continued to improve his smile, one of his most prominent weapons on screen. His original teeth were quite small and slightly discolored, which sometimes made him look older than he was. He chose porcelain veneers, a novel method at the time, to create a bright, even, and radiant smile under the stage lights. The new smile not only boosted his confidence, but also made the romantic, serious, or heroic roles he portrayed much more convincing and appealing. By 1967, as age began to leave its marks around the corners of his eyes and on his forehead, Burt continued to undergo endoscopic brow lift surgery, a technique that helps the eyes maintain their sharp, alert appearance without making the face look unnatural. In the mid-1970s, he even experimented with thread facelift techniques, an advanced method that rejuvenates the face without the need for long recovery times, suitable for the busy filming schedule of a star at the peak of his career. Burt Lancaster once said this profession is about illusion, and he lived true to that philosophy. Not only on screen, but also in the way he quietly maintained his own image. Unpretentious and low-key, Burt was a master at adjusting his appearance to align with the public's gaze. An artist who was not only talented on screen, but also sophisticated in sustaining the aura that Hollywood always demands. Robert Mitchum, a symbol of the effortlessly cool style, a man with a lazy gaze, a voice as rough as cigarette smoke, and a slow demeanor that fills every frame he appears in with intensity. In a world where many actors strive to express emotions in every possible way, Mitchum only needs a glance or a smirk to draw the audience tightly to the screen. He embodies the archetype of a seasoned man, taciturn, somewhat gruff, yet always leaving a lasting impression. And true to that image, any aesthetic interventions, if they exist, are distinctly Mitchum, discreet, simple, and never ostentatious. When he first appeared under the spotlight in the 1940s, producers loved Mitchum's rugged, wild masculinity. However, there was one small detail that made them hesitant. His nose was slightly large, causing his face to lack symmetry from certain angles. In 1947, Mitchum agreed to undergo a minor nose surgery, not to change it completely, but just to refine it a bit, to harmonize better with his square jaw and brooding gaze. It was a subtle change, true to his style, do it, but make sure no one notices. In the 1950s, when he was already a big star, he received advice from the backstage crew that he should have eyelid surgery to reduce his sleepy appearance, as his droopy eyes sometimes made him look tired on screen. Mitchum flatly refused. For him, those eyes were his trademark, what made him unique. And time proved him right. That lazy gaze became a mysterious weapon, alluring, both indifferent and irresistibly captivating. From 1968 to 1975, when the signs of aging began to appear more clearly, Mitchum quietly underwent a few minor procedures to keep his jawline sharp, avoiding the sagging look that camera lights couldn't hide. However, all interventions were kept to a minimum. A doctor who worked with him described it, "It's like oiling an old machine. No changes, just maintenance." And indeed, Mitchum never chased after artificial beauty. He simply wanted to remain true to himself, a being already captivating enough without flashy surgery. And that is Robert Mitchum, a man who never spoke much, but always knew how to maintain his style in his own way. There was no need to stay forever young, no need for a dramatic transformation. He simply upheld what made him a brand, quiet, steady, and full of charisma. Mitchum never tried to rejuvenate himself to please the audience. He made time itself slow down in the presence of an icon's performance. Burt Reynolds, the famous mustache, mischievous eyes, and demeanor that made everyone think he could drive cross-country with just a smile. At the height of his career, he embodied American charm, rugged, humorous, and always a bit reckless. But like the shiny sports car in Smokey and the Bandit, that appearance also needed regular maintenance. And Burt, while always joking about his image, was also serious about maintaining his iconic look. Everything began in the mid-1970s, when Reynolds had an accident while filming Deliverance, a breakthrough role. The jaw fracture required surgery to correct, but as a result, the contours of his face began to change, becoming softer and less sharp than before. Unable to accept this, he chose to undergo jaw cosmetic surgery to restore the distinctive angular structure that had helped him become a symbol of masculinity in Hollywood. A bold decision at a time when very few male actors openly discussed cosmetic procedures. Next is the hair, the second symbol after the legendary mustache. In 1978, when the signs of hair loss became evident, Reynolds underwent a hair transplant, a technique at the time that was quite rudimentary, often leaving scars and requiring concealment under hats or wigs. But unlike many stars of his era, Reynolds never hid it. He frequently wore a cowboy hat not only for style but also to shield the still nascent technology on his head. And he even joked about it on live television. In the 1980s, Reynolds underwent two facelifts, one in 1984 and another in 1988, to maintain a youthful appearance in the face of aging. Later, he admitted to feeling some regret because those procedures made his face appear a bit stiff on screen. Nevertheless, he remains one of the very few male stars willing to openly discuss his beauty treatments, with a humorous and unashamed attitude. Reynolds once said, "I'm like a drum. When stretched, I still make a sound." And indeed, no matter how tight the skin may be, that drum still resonates with the echoes of a golden era. Vibrant, captivating, and irreplaceable. If you find the cosmetic surgery secrets of these Hollywood male stars surprising, don't forget to hit the like button to let me know you want to see more interesting videos like this. And if you have any friends who love movies or are curious about the world of showbiz, share the video so you can explore these lesser-known stories together. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications now so you don't miss the latest videos from us. John Wayne, a name synonymous with the American West, with a walk that intimidates enemies and a deep voice like the wind blowing through dusty fields. He is the unchanging image of a strong, principled man who never bows to any force, whether in real life or on screen. But even a tough icon like Wayne has backstage interventions, not to change himself, but to maintain the image of the Duke that audiences around the world have come to love. In 1948, at the height of his career, John Wayne began to notice increasingly noticeable signs of hair loss. In an era when cosmetic procedures for men were almost taboo, Wayne quietly underwent a hair transplant, considered one of the first in the Hollywood entertainment industry. Although the technique at the time was very rudimentary and had many limitations, it was enough to help him continue wearing the legendary cowboy hat without raising any suspicions from the audience about what was underneath. For Wayne, appearance was not superficial. It was a part of his cinematic identity. By the mid-1960s, as age began to affect his eyes, with his upper eyelids drooping, making it difficult for him to follow movements on set, especially in gunfight scenes that required sharp vision, John Wayne decided to undergo a minor eyelid surgery. It was not elaborate, not a rejuvenation, just enough to restore his vision, allowing him to continue looking straight at the bad guys as he had done countless times before, the gaze of a man who knew no fear. As he entered the final stage of life, Wayne continued to undergo a few more subtle interventions, a facelift for the neck and lower jaw, the areas most visibly marked by aging. But like every decision before, he did not do it to look different, but simply to ensure that John Wayne is still John Wayne. Strong, masculine perhaps, with a few less wrinkles, but still an untouchable icon. He was not trying to turn back time. He just wanted to prolong the moment when the audience could see their hero, still standing tall as ever. Sylvester Stallone, the indomitable muscle icon of Hollywood. Rocky Balboa and John Rambo, two legendary characters, two faces of the same man. A man who can fall, get back up, and punch fate with all his will. But even action heroes cannot defeat time with just muscle. For Stallone, age is not an enemy, but a worthy opponent, and he does not shy away, nor does he deny it. Instead, he fights, as he always has, with discipline, with determination, and with a few strategic redesigns. Since birth, Stallone has faced a significant disadvantage: mild paralysis on the left side of his face due to a birth injury. This has given him a deep, raspy voice and a distinctive way of speaking, but it has also limited some facial expressions. Therefore, unlike many stars who turn to surgery to look better, Stallone started from a very practical need to have better control over his face while acting. In 1975, after a serious injury while filming Death Race 2000, He underwent his first surgery to restore part of his jaw muscle, a quietly important turning point. After Rocky exploded in 1976 and Rambo followed in the early 1980s, Stallone began to optimize his appearance for the big screen. He didn't change too much, just enough to maintain his masculine, strong look while becoming sharper and more cinematic. A little jawline sculpting for a defined contour, a few adjustments to his forehead and hairline to avoid looking aged in close-ups. By the 2000s, fans could easily recognize his smooth, skin-defined jaw and perfect smile signs of cosmetic interventions precisely measured to the millimeter, neither excessive nor lacking. Unlike some of his contemporaries who choose to avoid or change the subject when asked, Stallone is very straightforward. In a 1992 interview, he joked, "I'm like a car. I need regular maintenance." The statement sounds humorous, but it is very true. For Stallone, appearance is not just a matter of form, it is part of his professional responsibility. When he appeared in The Expendables in 2010, his face may have looked a bit tighter than before, but his demeanor remained intact, a silver screen warrior unyielding to the passage of time. For Stallone, looking good is not about deceiving anyone. It is a strategy to continue standing in the Hollywood arena without losing his inherent charisma. Al Pacino. His voice raspy like the wind whispering through old memories, his deep eyes hiding a lifetime of contemplation, and his presence making the whole world believe that Michael Corleone is real. He is not just an actor but a symbol, unpretentious, unflashy, yet always leaving the audience breathless whenever he appears on screen. However, even The Godfather is not immune to time. And like a seasoned chess player, Pacino has his own unique way of coping. Not deceiving, not changing. Just adjusting to continue playing the game of life. Throughout the first 2 decades of his career, from The Godfather to Serpico, Pacino almost completely avoided any cosmetic interventions. His hair gradually thinned, the dark circles around his eyes became more pronounced with each role, and his face bore the marks of genuine experience. This made the audience love him more, trust him more, because he was unafraid to age on screen. He was real, carrying the allure of sadness and quietness. But then, by the early 1990s, something changed, quietly but noticeably. Pacino's hair suddenly became thicker and darker, no longer the sparse, tired look it had in Dog Day Afternoon. Many cosmetic experts admit that this is almost certainly the result of a subtle hair transplant. As he entered the 2000s, the small details on his face also began to soften. His jawline was slightly tightened, and his neck, which had started to sag, was smoothed out while still retaining a natural look, especially around the eyelids. A gentle upper eyelid surgery helped Pacino's gaze remain sharp and soulful instead of being obscured by sagging skin over the years. Al Pacino has never tried to become a beauty icon or a box office star in the conventional sense. He knows that his appeal does not lie in flawless skin or an eternally youthful face. He embodies the beauty of weariness of experience that needs no disguise. Every alteration to his face shares a common trait. It is subtle, discreet, and solely serves the purpose of his roles, so that people still see Michael Corleone, Tony Montana, or Shylock, rather than a strange, youthful replica of himself. In a Hollywood filled with faces that seem to be molded from the same surgical room, Pacino remains a wisp, elusive, unique, and unreplicable. John Travolta. The disco lights, the incredible dance moves, and the hair that once overshadowed the dance floor. He is not just Danny Zuko from Grease, but also a symbol of an era when big hair and wide-collared shirts were the height of style. But time, as we know, does not slow down for anyone, and even an icon like Travolta must quietly find ways to hold on to the light of the past, in his own way. Since his 20s, Travolta's hairline began to recede. Standing under the stage lights of the 1980s, he was one of the first stars in Hollywood to boldly try hair transplants. A daring decision during a time when the technology was still quite rudimentary. The small scars are evidence of that silent battle, but in return he had enough hair to maintain the image of the king of disco. It was not just about aesthetics, but about confidence hair, like the lights, needs to be turned on at the right moment. By the 1990s, when he made a remarkable comeback with Pulp Fiction, Travolta no longer hid his thinning hair. He even turned it into a highlight. The slicked-back hairstyle, full of angles and attitude, combined with his cold gaze, became part of his new brand. However, as he turned 50, time continued to accelerate. At this point, Travolta once again turned to technology, light facelifts, advanced hair transplants, and skincare treatments to keep his face ready for the red carpet. Travolta has never clearly admitted to having cosmetic procedures, but there's no need to deny it either. One day, he confidently posted a picture of his bald head on Instagram. The next day, he appeared at a premiere with a thick, perfectly styled head of hair. For him, beauty is not about hiding, but rather a part of the performance art. Like a seasoned magician, Travolta understands that the audience doesn't need to know the secrets behind the curtain, as long as they still believe that magic is real. Tom Cruise, the million-dollar smile, the penetrating gaze, and the iconic running style that you can recognize just by a shadow. On screen, he defies both gravity and time. In real life, it's not much different. For Cruise, age seems to be just a technical number. Whether he's speeding on a motorcycle or hanging off a skyscraper, he still appears like a real-life superhero. So perfect that it makes one wonder if it's magic. In his early roles, Tom didn't have the smile that could make fighter jets land. If you remember The Outsiders from 1983, his teeth were slightly crooked and had a bit of a yellow tint, a very ordinary smile. But just 3 years later in Top Gun, everything changed. Cruise appeared with a perfect set of straight, bright white teeth, just like a true Hollywood star. The porcelain veneers became his trademark, not only enhancing his appearance but also redefining the image of the charming pilot on screen. Over the years, fans began to notice small but consistent changes. The nose became more refined, the jawline sharper, and especially the skin, plump and smooth to the point of defying gravity. Although he has never publicly admitted it, cosmetic experts seem to agree that Cruise has used Botox fillers and possibly thread lifts, all done subtly and precisely like an action scene, neither excessive nor lacking. Cruise, as always, denies all rumors. He believes that everything is due to a clean diet, rigorous training, and his belief in Scientology. It may be true or it may not. But one thing is undeniable: at the age of 62, Tom Cruise still performs his own crazy stunts, still runs faster than ever, and still commands the frame like he did in the beginning. And even with a few tricks behind the scenes, the audience cannot help but be amazed by a man who seems to refuse to age. Robert Redford, a part of the soul of classic Hollywood. With sun-kissed, tousled hair, calm eyes, and an almost unattainable beauty. On screen, he doesn't need to say much. Just a glance is enough to silence the audience and make them listen. But behind that exterior lies a quiet, persistent strategy to maintain his aura. Unpretentious, understated, and especially not overindulgent. Unlike many of his contemporaries, Redford did not pursue dramatic overhauls. He chose a subtle approach, much like his own acting style. Since the mid-1980s, he began to make gentle adjustments, a little work on the lower eyelids to soften tired bags, a slight lift in the jawline to maintain a strong profile when the camera zooms in. Every intervention had a clear goal to maintain rather than change, to preserve the essence rather than create a new version. He has never overdone it. There is no artificial taut skin, no excessive fillers that make his face look strange. Even when his skin bears the marks of time, it still exudes a beauty that is very Redford, authentic, composed, and makes people believe in age as a value, not a burden. In a rare interview, when asked about cosmetic procedures, Redford simply smiled and said, "Everyone has the right to do what they feel is necessary." Brief but profound. His appearance is not a mask. It is the result of intelligent acceptance, a combination of self-care and a clear understanding of personal value. Redford's wrinkles are not erased, for they tell the story of a lifetime, not to be hidden, but to be cherished. And that is why, despite the passage of time, Robert Redford remains an icon, not only of beauty, but also of true elegance. Kenny Rogers, a rustic voice, a charming smile, and the look of a seasoned gambler. He is a country icon who doesn't need glamour. Just a guitar and a few notes can silence the entire audience. On stage, he knows that the most important thing is to know when to fold. But when it comes to appearance, Kenny once took a gamble, and unfortunately, it wasn't a winning bet. At the beginning of the 1990s, as he turned 50, Kenny decided to reinvent himself to align with the image of a long-term performing artist. Initially, everything was quite subtle, a delicate eyelid lift to eliminate the tired look after years of touring. Fans only noticed that he appeared better rested. But then he went on to have a facelift, and subsequent cosmetic procedures made his face increasingly unfamiliar, losing its natural softness and warmth, replaced by a taut, expressionless appearance. What is admirable is that Kenny does not shy away from it. In a candid interview in 2006, he shared, "I've had eye work done, a facelift. Initially it was fine, then it went a bit too far." He even joked that he looks like he's always startled. It is this self-deprecating humor, the wit that comes from sincerity, that endears him even more to the public. Although he is not completely satisfied with the results, he does not hold any grudges. For Kenny, aesthetics are just a personal decision, and sometimes you can't win every hand. But it is that very spirit, honesty, calmness, and the courage to reflect on one's choices that makes Kenny Rogers a lasting icon. He once sang, "You gotta know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em." And even though he may have gone a bit too far in the beauty game once in the hearts of his fans, Kenny has never lost the authenticity that made him a legend. A warm voice, a face, even after being lifted, still full of emotion. And a person who always lived truthfully, just like the stories he told through his music. Barry Manilow, the man who wrote melodies that made the whole world hum and left millions of women in the 70s swooning. From Mandy to Can't Smile Without You, he is not just a songwriter, but the soundtrack for an entire generation. However, just like his ballads have been reinterpreted over the years, Barry has not allowed time to overshadow him. Starting in the mid-1980s as he turned 40, Barry quietly refined his appearance. First came very subtle changes. A little adjustment to his nose, a few minor interventions on his jawline, enough to make his face look better on camera when the stage lights hit as he sang at the Copacabana. Everything still feels natural. It's still Barry, just tidier and more prepared in front of the camera. But over the years, the changes have become more apparent. By the late 90s and early 2000s, fans began to notice small details, higher arched eyebrows, fuller cheeks, and more radiant skin. And the corners of his mouth sometimes seemed to hold a secret. Although he never publicly admitted to surgery, Barry often joked about the rumors. "It must be because I sleep well," he said. And people understood that some artists' secrets are best kept to themselves, just like the way he cleverly rhymed daybreak with heartache. When criticized for his seemingly increasingly expressionless face, Barry did not retaliate. He simply continued to perform, continued to write music, and continued to melt thousands of hearts every night. Because, to be honest, who cares if your face no longer moves expressively when that voice can still reach the deepest places in the listener's soul? Although time may have softened that voice a bit, and that face may have undergone a few adjustments, Barry Manilow remains true to himself, a musician, an icon, and a testament that sometimes the only thing worth holding on to is the emotion that fans have for you, and that no needle can replicate. Bruce Jenner. Before becoming Caitlyn, was a quintessential symbol of American masculinity, a renowned Olympic champion, a vibrant embodiment of determination and unmatched speed. He was the ideal model of physical and mental strength, a role model for many to admire. But even the man known as the fastest on the planet could not escape the invisible footprints of time and the changes within himself. In 1984, when his sports career had come to a close, Bruce began his journey of maintaining his appearance with subtle cosmetic interventions to preserve the magazine cover look that the public remembered him for. However, time continued to leave its marks on his face. By the mid-1990s, Bruce decided to have a nose job, a decision he felt did not turn out as expected. Instead of hiding or avoiding it, he chose to be honest and courageously admitted on the reality show with the Kardashians that "I had a botched nose job and I need to have it redone." In a society that places a heavy emphasis on the image of men being invulnerable to cosmetic surgery, Bruce's straightforward actions are like a breath of fresh air opening up a dialogue about truth and self-acceptance. This is not merely a matter of superficial courage, but also an inner strength to accept one's flaws and changes in front of the public. In 2009, Bruce publicly entered the operating room to undergo facial surgery, a rare public step that made fans admire his honesty and determination even more. However, the most significant transformation came in 2014 when he decided to shave off his tracheal bone, a pivotal moment not only for Bruce personally, but also for the global gender community. This action stirred media attention and sparked much debate, but it also became a powerful symbol of living authentically. If time is an unavoidable opponent, then Bruce Jenner not only faced it, but also courageously overcame it with bravery and self-acceptance. The journey from Bruce to Caitlyn is not just a story of physical transformation, but also an inspiring journey about truth, about finding one's true self and living it to the fullest. That is the greatest lesson that this man, who was once a sports legend, has left for the world. Mickey Rourke in the 1980s was a symbol of the handsome bad boy archetype in Hollywood. With his fiery eyes, tousled hair, and dangerously alluring charm, he quickly captured the hearts of millions of fans, becoming one of the brightest stars of that decade. Films like 912 Weeks and Angel Heart helped him establish his special place in the film industry. But deep down, Mickey didn't just want to be an actor. He yearned to explore other limits of himself. In the early 1990s, Mickey made a shocking decision to step away from the big screen and enter the world of professional boxing. This was not just a career change, but also a journey that tested his physical strength, willpower, and fate. In the ring, Mickey faced heavy punches resulting in multiple broken ribs, shattered cheekbones, and a face so severely damaged that even Rocky Balboa, the iconic fighter on screen, had to throw in the towel. These injuries could not heal on their own, and reconstructive surgery was necessary for him to continue his life. However, the story doesn't end there. Instead of restoring Mickey's glamorous appearance as before, the surgeries have made him completely different. By the late 90s and early 2000s, his face was hardly recognizable compared to his peak. Rourke himself candidly admitted that he had misplaced his trust in a surgeon. "I went to see someone who messed it up." But instead of hiding or feeling ashamed, Mickey embraced those marks with a carefree attitude and a distinct confidence, an unmistakable image in the glamorous world of Hollywood. What is special is that the altered face did not end his career. On the contrary, it contributed to a profound and authentic inner strength for his role in The Wrestler, the film that brought him back to the spotlight and received much acclaim. The scars and rough features on Rourke's face added depth, pain, and resilience to the character he embodied. As he once said, "My face tells a story. It's not always beautiful, but it's real." And that is what makes Mickey Rourke unique. An artist who not only lives for appearances, but also lives through the story of his life filled with pain, setbacks, and rebirth. Simon Cowell, the man famous for making millions of dollars by crushing teenage dreams on American Idol with his trademark scowl and brutally honest critiques. He has become a symbol of strictness, fairness, and sometimes coldness in the reality television world, leaving many contestants both in awe and fearful. But few know that behind the stage lights and applause, Simon is also quietly judging himself in a constant struggle to maintain a perfect image amid the pressures of age and fame. In the early 2000s, Simon appeared on television with an almost natural look, his signature tight black t-shirt, a masculine chest hair protruding, and a face that was indifferent and cold, like an unyielding judge. This image quickly became his unmistakable personal trademark in the eyes of the audience. However, over time, fans began to notice a subtle yet undeniable change by 2008. Simon's forehead hardly moved anymore, a clear sign of Botox injections. Simon did not hesitate to admit it and humorously said, "Every guy I know has had it done now." Simon's aesthetic journey has continued for many years, with eyelid surgeries, facelifts, and filler injections. By 2019, his face had almost completely transformed, leading many fans to comment that he looked more like a wax figure than the tough reality TV judge they once knew. Ultimately, Simon admitted that he had gone too far. "There was a time when I probably went a bit overboard. I didn't recognize myself." This heartfelt admission resonated with many and prompted them to reflect on his journey. Recently, Simon announced that he has given up Botox and excessive cosmetic procedures, instead focusing on healthy eating and natural skin care. This change not only helps him maintain a youthful appearance, but also reflects his maturity and self-acceptance. Now, Simon Cowell still retains the sharpness and straightforwardness of a reality TV icon, serving as a living testament that everyone can rediscover themselves and live authentically amidst the pressures of modern life. Carrot Top, famous for his wild curly red hair, crazy props, and energetic comedic style that makes audiences laugh, sometimes wondering what is happening with his face. In the 1990s, Scott Carrot Top Thompson was a skinny guy with a freckled face and a self-deprecating sense of humor. But by the early 2000s, fans noticed something different. His muscles had bulged like Popeye after eating spinach. And his face looks firmer, shinier, and sharper than that of a Vegas stripper. Rumors spread about steroid use and cosmetic surgery. Carrot Top scoffed, claiming he only had a bad makeup artist, but experts suspect the opposite. Eyebrow lifts, eyelid surgery, cheek implants, and so on. His transformation is so dramatic that it overshadowed even his jokes for a while. However true to his character, Carrot Top still owns his appearance. Instead of hiding, he continuously performs sold-out shows in Vegas and jokes about his looks in front of anyone. Perhaps in the world of comedy, it's easier to laugh at others than to laugh at oneself, unless you're Carrot Top. Joe Biden. Whether you love him or not, everyone agrees that he has aged remarkably. But his journey of transformation did not start in the White House. It began during the height of disco music, and his hair was falling out faster than bipartisan cooperation. By his early 30s, Biden's hairline was receding at a rapid pace. Determined not to become the bald guy in Congress, he soon underwent hair transplant procedures. Back then, this technology was only as advanced as an 8-track tape, but it gave him a pretty decent hairline. Although it looked a bit messy up close over the decades as hair transplant techniques improved, Joe's hair did too. By the time he became vice president, his hair looked thicker and more natural. Coupled with meticulous dental care, his uneven smile transformed into a radiant political asset. Along with the subtle eyelid adjustments to keep his eyes wide open during debates, you have achieved your current appearance. But here's the point. Despite the obvious changes, Biden has never really been criticized for it. Perhaps because he is discreet. Perhaps because voters are too busy arguing about everything else. And those are the 20 most incredible cosmetic surgeries of Hollywood male stars. Faces you might think you know well, but in reality, they have undergone surprising transformations. Cosmetic surgery is not just about changing appearances. It is also a clear testament to the immense pressure that the showbiz industry endures in the quest to maintain a perfect image and eternal youth. From subtle tweaks to shocking plastic surgeries, each star has their own story reflecting determination, while concealing the silent sacrifices that fans rarely learn about. Whether one agrees with the use of surgery or not, it cannot be denied that these changes have contributed to a vibrant, complex Hollywood. What do you think about these changes? Is there a star that surprised you or even made you unrecognizable? Please share your thoughts below. I would love to hear your opinions, and if you found the video interesting, don't forget to like and share it so your friends can know too. Thank you for joining me on this journey to explore the lesser-known secrets of this glamorous world. I look forward to seeing you in the next videos with even more surprises.